Hello everybody, it's Critical Rocket here with a roundup of MechCon 2016, the inaugural, the first ever, and very evident so with a lot of the issues that they were having during the event. But if we kick off first, what happened prior to the actual live stream starting up was the unveiling of a new mech pack. Now, like any major event or town hall that they have, there's always a mech pack involved. And in this case, it was one that sets a worrying trend for me, honestly. I'm probably going to spend a couple of minutes on this one. So, it's up now, it's called the Roughneck. It's a 65-ton heavy, and it's supposed to be the idea that this isn't unheard of in the Battletech universe, but not like this, basically. The idea is that there are these mechs that are created for industrial purposes, forestry purposes, agriculture purposes, right? So they have pilots, but they're not obviously built for combat. And on rare occasions in the far-off periphery, and sometimes in the most dire circumstances in the inner sphere, some of these agri-mechs or industrial mechs or whatever will be modified to carry weapons and they'll go into combat. But they're stressing they're very, very bad. They're nowhere near... I mean, like, even taking an urban mech would be more preferable than taking one of these things, because the urban mech is at least actually built for combat, whereas these things aren't. Now, PGI have gone and just created one out of thin air. So they've made this thing, they've made it with the same kind of armor and hit points as a heavy, and it's got high mounted ballistics, and it's got energy and missile hard points. So it's going to be a jack of all trades. It's 65 ton, it's another heavy that's going to fill all the gaps for players. It's aimed specifically at the whales, it's aimed specifically at the competitive teams, to get people to buy it because, well, we need another heavy in there. Oh, but the inner sphere need another heavy. Rather than doing the Crusader, they've gone and made up a mech. Now, they're going to stress, oh no, it's canon, because Catalyst are going to put it in their books. So now it's real. Sorry, when you've got hundreds, I mean, literally the Pokemon of tabletop gaming of hundreds of battle mechs, gotta fucking catch them all, you go and make a new one up. And what's worrying is that by being given the green light to make that bullshit mech canon now means that PGI can make any mech up they want. They don't have to make mechs from the original books. You might not ever now see a Wasp or a Stinger. You might see what they would make instead. And that worries me. That makes me think, how long am I really going to end up playing MechWarrior Online now if all I'm going to end up seeing in the future is 50% PGI bullshit mechs and 50% genuine battle mechs? I mean, I would have preferred some of the later tech stuff. I mean, even if they brought in something like the Owens or the Firestarter Omni or something like that, I would still think, well, at least it was a battle mech. And this is the same as what happened with MechWarrior 4, when certain mechs like the Mad Cat Mark II and those kind of things all became legitimate because Microsoft went and made up a bunch of mechs. The UZL's another one of them. And now people think that they're legit. They're not. They're not original VASA designs. They're made up by other people. They just got made canon. And I don't know, I don't want PGI to run around and start making their own mechs, despite the fact that Alex Iglesias is a very good artist. He does really good work. But even if he makes a really, really nice looking robot, it's not a battle mech. It's just something he made. So, to give you a heads up, I'm not making a video of the Roughneck. I'm not doing a gameplay video. I'm not doing it. There's no lore warrior for it, because shit, it's not in any books. So, as far as I'm concerned, the Roughneck doesn't exist. I just really hope this isn't a trend that PGI are going to fall into, and they're just going to start, we're not going to make a mech, fuck it, we're just going to make our own thing. We're going to call it the Bulletizer 5000, and it's going to be a 150-ton assault mech, and it's got everything. Literally everything. It can fire long tom shells. $20 standard pack. So yeah, that side. So we actually went to the Twitch, and the Twitch was, I don't know if it was overloaded or whatever, but the image quality even on source on Twitch was very grainy. The sound, they had some sound issues on stage. The problem was where the commentators were positioned, which was in front of the teams for the finals. There was a lot of feedback from the speakers, because obviously their microphones were picking up their own voices from the speakers, and it was making some pretty horrible noises. So there was a lot of complaint. Chat was lit up with complaints about sound feedback, and the quality of the production overall wasn't too fondly received. I found it difficult to see what was going on in the matches themselves. The spectator tools, I don't know. I mean, I know you're obviously trying to keep track of an 8v8 fight, but the way they had the camera so high up combined with the grainy image quality, and they had the red and blue highlights over the mechs, it was hard to even see what mech they were in. It didn't help. And to be honest, most of the matches were stomps. There were a couple. I didn't see the very final winner match, but I saw everything from 228 in Canyon Network onwards until 228 lost in, oh god, what was it, Mining Collective or something? Yeah, it might be Mining or wherever. But yeah, it didn't go well for 228 anyway. They ended up coming third. But it was difficult to see what was happening, basically. I guess it was exciting if you were there, otherwise it was really fucking hard to see. And to highlight, all the matches were stomps, virtually. And EMP, Imperial, they just owned everybody. I think that was highlighting, again, the issues with the balance within MechWarrior, that in the competitive scene, should it really be that much of a stomp? I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't watch like Dawn of the Ancients 2 or League of Legends or StarCraft or any of those other like major esport things, but I'm imagining there's at least a bit of back and forth between rounds. It's not just stomp, stompy, stomp, stomp all the way through. Here's 140 grand or whatever. Let's see. Oh yeah, in between matches, which by the way the gaps were huge, so it was like half an hour to 40 minutes between matches. They were playing music over the stream. It was awful. I mean, every accusation was being thrown around that it was the stuff Russ listens to in his car when he was driving down, to it was Tina Benoit's playlist. Some of the music was inappropriate. It suddenly started talking about fucking bitches and stuff like that. It's like really like inappropriate rap music. You imagine if there was someone like the kids were watching it. There was what else was there? There were some really awful remixes. There was a Funky Town remix that was very strange. Lots of complaints about that. The music was god-awful. Sometimes it was okay and it was a bit ambient and there was no lyrics, and then other times it would come back and it was just massively inappropriate for what MechWarrior was. It didn't really scream 31st century combat. There was some weird camera work in the actual ballroom itself. Like sometimes the camera would just awkwardly move around, sweep around the crowd. At one point it zoomed in on the back of some guy's shiny bald head. Other times it would just kind of jankily move about at different angles, looking at things. Occasionally people would sort of be like, oh, there's such and such, and then it would move on. To try and alleviate, I think, some of the complaints in chat, they were jumping between gameplay footage of both MWO and Battletech from Harebrained Schemes. They showed off obviously people playing the demo stations. The big reveal there was that there was the one-on-one Steiner Colosseum Solaris mode on MechWarrior that they were showing off. The mechs looked to be stock, and there were lots of complaints there about people. Basically, everyone in chat was just ripping the piss out of people who were playing it, saying that they were all terrible. The 1v1 mode looks okay. I guess if it'll be fun for some units who want to settle scores. I think it's not going to be a great appeal to the larger audience. It would have been nice if it could have been like a eight-man free-for-all instead, where everyone spawns at different parts of the map and they'll just go in there, last man standing. That would have been pretty cool. Maybe that'll happen in the future. There were issues with this, though. Audio issues were constant. They would switch to footage of someone playing Battletech, and you'd still hear the sound from the MechWarrior Online game, and vice versa. And other times you would hear the audio from the guy who you were seeing attacking the player that you were watching. So one of the matches was a Stormcrow who was getting his ass kicked, and the guy winning was pretty fresh, but you'd hear everything from the Stormcrow's perspective sound-wise, but you'd be seeing it from the winner's perspective. It was very weird. I don't know how they kept getting that wrong. Sometimes the sound would just drop. It would just sort of fade out, then it would come back in. At one point they went to a Q&A with Russ and Paul, and a couple of folks had questions. Kanajashi had a question. He got kind of mixed responses in the crowd. Well, when I say the crowd, I mean the chat. chat. Some people in chat seem to just wholly disregard kind of Jesse's question about half-tone increments and stuff within engine CT structure, and other people just thought he was like, his question was stupid, so they just wanted him to move on and such. Russ basically didn't really know what he was asking him, so Russ just kind of gave the general, "Oh, I'll ask someone for you. I'll get back to you on that." And then when they went to another question, the camera failed. That was that. I think we got about 3 or 4 minutes of the Q&A with Russ and Paul before it just died a death on us, and it never came back. Then we had a bit more gameplay from both Battletech and the MWO 1v1 mode. Battletech, gameplay-wise, as the new demo, looks okay. It's the same mission that we saw in the pre-alpha. There's no new features in the sense of there's no melee combat or anything, but they did have they switched it up. They put a trebuchet and a griffin in there instead, just to show people a couple of different mechs running around. And yeah, I'm still looking forward to having a go with it. Obviously, we got all that information from the Kickstarter update recently about the beta for that being out early next year. So then it went to the presentations after a long gap. So there was the Harebrained Schemes presentation. First there was a history of Battletech, which that got mixed responses from the chat, where a lot of people just like yawn, don't care, which just shows that a lot of these people aren't actually fans of Battletech. You know, the thing that made MechWarrior as a franchise that these people are playing on. These are all the same, you know, morons who like don't give a crap about what made it, but you know, whatever. Yeah, so there was a lot of people who weren't interested in that. A lot of people giving Russ jip for trying to moderate it and ask the questions. There was some interesting bits and pieces. It basically was just a history of the games that Faster Digital had made and what else they'd worked on, up to Smith and Tinker being created, and that's how, obviously, Mecha Online ended up becoming a thing. But then, yeah, they moved on to the individual presentations. There was one by Catalyst Games Lab. They were talking about their upcoming products, so their sort of their rules system, how they altered things, you know, streamlined things, bits and pieces. They did a few giveaways. It was interesting. I mean, if you're a tabletop player, then there was some nice information there. The Harebrained Schemes presentation came up next. A lot of energy from these guys, which was nice to see compared to Russ, who looked like a zombie. Harebrained Schemes, they didn't really show off anything new Battletech-wise. They had some new slides that showed off some concepts of different environments and showing us the character stuff again. The most impressive thing was the new merch that they were showing off. There's a cat in the background playing with plastic. They showed off some new merch stuff, which was it's going to be called Battletech Gear, I think the page is going to be called. It's going to be going live in a couple of weeks. Bloody cat. Yeah, they're going to be having a couple of items each month that are up for sale, and they'll only make them if they hit a minimum number of orders, and that's when they'll charge you cards. So it works like Kickstarter, basically. If the items don't get funded, then the following month they roll over and they make new stuff, and they'll see if you want them instead. And that's how that's going to work. And, you know, it looks like they're going to be doing things like mech sculpts, probably other bits and pieces like banners, and probably other neat little things. Hopefully they'll do like vehicles as well, like tanks and dropships and stuff. That'd be cool. They also showed off some hoodies, different faction hoodies. I'll definitely be picking up a few of them. Hopefully they'll do a Taurian Concordat one. Let's see. Then we got to basically the end of it. So to wrap this up, Russ comes on. He doesn't. You know what? For once, Russ didn't waste a lot of time. He said big thank you to some people, and then he just got on with it. So first off, they unveiled Faction Play 4.1. He said he couldn't think of a name of it, so he called it Phase 4. This is the one that people heard about a while ago. Basically, you're now going to be lumped into one of two factions. You're either clan or you're in a sphere. You can still have your loyalty to the different groups, but overall, it's one front against the clans, and vice versa. And the quick play game modes are being rolled into Faction Play as well, so there'll be, you know, domination and all that in there. There'll be tug of war type battles on the planets, going backwards and forwards and stuff like that. So, you know, maybe it'll make a difference. I don't know. I think it would have made more of an impact if they'd allowed faction play, certain worlds on faction play to be affected by actual public queue matches. But I don't know. Let's see. Quick play mode, spin out with the... Oh yeah, that's it. This will all be in the December patch with the faction play. Escort mission. Now this is where this is where I was kind of surprised. Basically, PGI stole my escort mission. If you've watched the streams over the last few months, there's been an escort mission where someone has taken an Atlas more often than not, and it can't fire back, and the person in the Atlas has to make it from point A to point B, and they win. Well, outside of the fact that the escort target is an Atlas, it's an AI Atlas instead. It doesn't shoot back, and it has to get from point A to B. I'm sorry, but I want credit for this, PGI. It's a new mode. It's going to be out on the 13th patch for this month, so that'll be interesting to see. I'd really like to be able to somehow speak to one of them, just say, look, you know, have you seen the streams? It's just weirdly coincidental. Assault mode they showed off. That's not coming yet. That's going to be next year, Q1 they said. So anywhere between March and up to March anyway. The new skill tree, now that actually looks like a skill tree. It's huge. It looks like there's going to be a hell of a lot of different skills and specializations you can pick for your mech, which I'm liking the look of. Modules are going to be a thing of the past. Everyone's going to be refunded all of the C-bills they spent on modules and all of the XP spent on the mechs up to the date of the skill tree being added is going to become what they call legacy XP, which is just free XP you can spend on that mech. You will no longer need 3 of anyone's chassis to master it in that respect. You now just have the chassis you want to play, you get XP and you points and you master it, and that's it, basically. And mastery is going to be based on how many points you get up to a certain maximum. You can't have every single skill on the tree. So, yeah, it'll be interested to see how that works out. Obviously, it'd be nice to see a full layout of the tree and what all the skills are going to be. And he closed it out, well, I closed it out. It was 5:30 in the morning by the time this bit came up. The new game. MechWarrior 5. Yep, that's it. Finally, a new single-player game. It's being made by, I assume, the team that made Transverse. I guess they had to do something with that Unreal 4 license they bought when they tried to make Transverse, and this is what they've been doing. I can rest easy now knowing they're not still trying to make Transverse. That is dead. And yes, they've actually gone and made MechWarrior 5. It looks very pretty. On the Unreal 4 engine. The little demo was quite interesting to watch. Destructible scenery, nice little mech animations. The UI looked very clean, very simple but easy to read. Gave you all the information you needed. Yeah, it looks like hopefully it's going to be a really good little sort of campaign edition. Now, it's separate, obviously, from MechWarrior Online. It won't be incorporated, so it's likely going to be a full-price product that you're going to have to buy. Don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing yet. It depends on what else they're going to unveil as time goes on. Hopefully they'll maybe have some kind of multiplayer element, being able to do like co-op missions, that kind of thing. It's the AI. And yeah, I'll do a little bit. I'll try and do a little bit about the trailer that they released and sort of pointing out a couple of bits and pieces. But yeah, that was MechCon. Hopefully next year, because I assume they're going to now make this a regular thing. Hoping next year that they sort of fix up a lot of the issues with the long gaps between anything happening, the audio issues, the switching between. This is the first year. I'll give them a pass on that. It's teething problems. Other than that, though, it was a decent event. You know, we got to see a bunch of new stuff. The biggest downside for me was the Roughneck. Hopefully, this isn't going to start a trend that sees us just having new made-up bullshit popping up every couple of months. And yeah, so if you haven't seen it, it's a long stream. I wouldn't recommend sitting through the whole thing. You probably just want to click through it to the highlights if you want to watch the matches, that kind of thing. And yeah, that was MechCon 2016. So I hope that was helpful. Any other questions you have about, let me know, and I'll try and get back to you on that. So have a good week, everybody. It's Crystal the Rocket signing out.